joined now by Jennifer Dixon, head coach of the McKinney High School tennis team. And Coach, it was a year for you where you were sixth place out of six in that dangerous 10-5A district, in which Plano West and Allen, they both got to the regional finals in team tennis, and just a loaded district. And you had a really young team, a ton of freshmen were really your top players this year. So this was more of a year where you knew it was going to kind of be a building block year for the next seasons to come.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we have a lot of really young players, a lot of talent at that young age, and they might not be the top right now, but there's so much talent there that it's just scraping, the surface. I mean, I'm really excited about what we have in our future with these kids. They're so young, and to see them so willing to keep working hard and to get better. And you think about it, we're in this loaded district with Plano West, Plano East, Plano, Allen, Boyd. I mean, we have all these top teams. And what I love about us being in that district is that it pushes you to be the best player you can be. Because like whenever I was growing up and I was playing tennis, my coaches always told me you got to go out and play the best players to improve the fastest. And I never wanted to go play the best players because I didn't want to lose. But you go and you start playing these better players and you might lose 6-0, 6-0 the first time. Second time, 6-0, 6-2. But then you eventually start to be able to beat these players. And then whenever you go back to the people that you would normally hit with, it's not even a competition. And so that's really what I was hoping to get out of these last couple of years in that stacked district. And that's what we got. I mean, I saw my kids stepping up against teams that we'd usually just battle with. We ended up winning at the end of the season. And it was great. It was good to see the improvement and how quickly we improved. So now that we're dropping down, I really look for some good things when these freshmen are improving. They're working hard. It's exciting. It's an exciting time for McKinney tennis.
Yeah, it's very true how sometimes when you play those opponents that maybe are weaker, the way the match goes, hitting back and forth, some of the players that aren't as strong tend to lob the ball maybe back, and maybe there's not as much running back and forth. The pace is just slower. And when you play those top teams, you start to get used to that quicker pace, the bigger spins, the bigger kick off the serve, and it really helps you for later on playing tennis to where you can build against those players.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's almost like an illusion. You start playing against those players that you normally would just hit, and maybe you'd have a tight match with, or maybe you'd still beat them. You feel good about yourself because, hey, I won that match. We're doing great. We're working hard. But you don't realize that, there's that whole other level out there. And then whenever you start having to jump up to that higher level, and you're not quite at the top anymore, you're down near the bottom. But when you get to that point and you drop back down to those people that you were right at the same level or just a little higher, I mean, now you're just leaps ahead of them. And it's exciting to see, how the improvement has happened.
We mentioned how you have a lot of young talent, but it seemed to be the more experienced players at district that had the closer matches that went to 3 sets, especially your doubles pairings. You had Matt Remble and Nick Shaver, they went 3 sets in boys doubles in their opening match, and also you had Kiri Chun and Amy Anderson, their doubles team also went 3 sets.
Yeah, I mean you can't buy experience. You know what I mean? You just can't. You have those freshmen that come out and they're talented and they're just going to keep learning, but you can't substitute for the experience. Amy Anderson, Kiri Chung, they're both seniors. They've been around, they've been through these district tournaments, they've seen how it works, they know what it means to be in that 3rd set and to fight. And so to see those kids go out there and fight for every point and do so well, it's really exciting to see them have such a good quality match, their last match as seniors. And then also you have Nick Shaver, who's another senior, and then you have Matt Rainbolt, who, he's a junior, going to be a junior. And so you have this, and you have these kids that are showing that step up, in that experience. And I'm hoping that the young kids were watching that and seeing how they handled themselves and saw, that if you work hard and you get that experience, it'll pay off in the long run.
A lot of your younger players, your freshmen, tended to play singles this year, and you kept a lot of the experienced players in the doubles. And so what are with guys like John Edwards, for instance? He was one of your number 1 players on the boys' side. What did they learn from that singles experience throughout the year?
You can't rely on anybody else but yourself. I put them in there for a reason. I put both John in there at singles, and I put Rohan in there at singles, both my freshmen. And when you're out there on the court in singles, there's nobody else. You can't blame it on anybody else. You have to basically stand. You got to step up and perform. And I put them against, because you think about it in the spring, usually you're going to have the top player from every team playing in that boys singles. and I wanted them playing those top players. You know, did I think that we were going to win every match? No, I didn't think that. But I knew that that experience was going to be invaluable for these freshmen to play the top players and to see how hard it was to play those top players, but learn from them as well. And I really think it paid off. I mean, both of them have improved leaps and bounds since the beginning of the year.
You have two girls in Shelby and Mia that you really like moving forward. They have a ton of potential you see in them.
They do. That's another couple of freshmen. You know, I have, Shelby Stubner, who's one of my top JV players. She's a great player. She just won her first her first ZAT match the other day. She was so excited. She texted me, she said, Coach, I finally won my first ZAT match. But, this is a girl who really wasn't involved with USTA tournaments and things like that, but she won her first ZAT match, and she keeps improving. She's taking lessons all the time. Then you have Jenna, who's been hurt a lot, but the athletic ability of these young girls. Mia, my freshmen, these are all my freshmen, 3 freshman girls with extreme athletic ability. And just to have that and to have that passion for getting better and the competition, it's exciting to see what's going to happen with them whenever they advance, for the next few years.
What is the atmosphere? How would you describe the atmosphere of necessarily maybe a practice or just the team environment on a tennis team? Because it seems to me, as a guy who in high school I played baseball, one of the more, you would say, the big 3 or 4 sports that you see on TV all the time, football, basketball, baseball, those environments are a little bit more super aggressive in practice. There's a lot of seriousness going on. Tennis, to me, always seemed to be a much more relaxed environment, a lot more, still some serious moments where you go to work, but it seemed to be a much more fun environment overall.
It is. We try to have fun. Of course, we know the kids need to put in the work. And when we go out to practice, we have a set schedule of things that we have to work on, that day or that week, and it'll be between drilling or match play or whatever, singles, doubles. And it's very different in the fall than in the spring, how we run our practices. But the nice thing about, especially like my kids, they like each other and they work together because they want to see everybody else be successful. And so when we're in drills, they're constantly pushing each other to perform. And they're constantly, hit the topspin, hit the slice, do whatever you have to do. These kids are really, it makes my job really easy because I work with such good kids that they want to get better and they want to work hard in practice. But we also go out there and we have fun too. We have games where we play and everybody's laughing and it's a great environment. It makes it fun, but it's great because, you see it transition from the tennis court to in the hallways. I'll walk down the hallways and they'll be in a big, huge group, all my tennis players, just hanging out together. They'll go out to team dinners together and just hang out. It's just great to see how they bond and how they help each other, through school and throughout life. These are lifelong friends.
And going into next season, obviously you go down to 4A. Mm-hmm. The transition now into what's going to be, still a strong district. You're going to have some great tennis teams in that district, but not necessarily, the top teams like Plano West and Allen that was in 5A. A better opportunity for your team. Not only are they getting better throughout this year, now they go against a team where it's going to be a better chance for them to get to the regional tournament.
I think so. It's still going to be a hard district. You've got North. North is just amazing. They've always been good. John Stein does a great job with those kids every year. He gets great talent. And he's building them. It's just great, to compete constantly within the district with a team like that. So we have Stein, over at North. Then you also have Lovejoy. They're a great team too. There's other teams too, obviously, like Denison and Sherman and all that, but those are the two that, they're going to be right up there at the top again. And so those are the teams we're shooting for. And I'm hoping that our experience in this district this year will pay off next year whenever we get into those tight matches, when we're, head-to-head against them, and we get to those third set matches. I'm hoping that experience that we've had against the top players will pay off.
Yeah, it should be a fun, competitive district next year.
It'll be exciting.
Coach Dixon, thanks so much for joining us today, and congratulations on another great season, and looking forward to next season very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's McKinney High Tennis for you with Coach Jennifer Dixon.